Good evening, my dear friends. After continuation of the connecting rod design, now we can see that what is that here web design will be there. So this is looking like a cam, means some outer side portion will be the hemispherical and the inner side portion also hemispherical. In between that one circular will be there. That circular portion is going to be attached to that crankshaft, and that crankshaft radius also I shown over there, R1 and R, capital R. So here two holes I am going to showing over there, because why I am showing this holes to lubricate that whenever the crankshaft is revolving, it should have to lubricate it. So for that purpose I shown over there. Next slide, you observe that here one more diagram is there. So drill passages in the connecting rod and camshaft. Why is clearly we shown over there? Generally this is manufactured forged steel and steel, and some of the connecting rod will be manufactured cast iron also. So it is clearly observed whenever the radius of the crank web is going to be rotated to the, it is going to be connected to that piston. That connecting rod is going to be connected to the piston. Over there also we are going to lubricate. So with that help we are going to reducing the heat and we are going to reducing the friction. That's a very clearly we can understand by seeing this figure. Another one more figure, you see that here the connection between that piston and the crankshaft is connected by that crankshaft, and I shown the two bearings, small end bearing and big end bearing. Okay, in this connecting rods mainly feed by three different forces. What are that different forces acting on that connecting rod? One is the acceleration force. So acceleration force, why it will come into that acceleration force? Combustion, by combustion process. What is that mass of the force? Another one mass of the force will be there from piston to piston pin, and it will transfer to that connecting rod. Connecting rod is going to be connected to the crankshaft. So another force is bending force caused by the connecting rod, caused by that connecting rod, bending stress. So nowadays we are going to the connecting rods, we are going to dividing, one is connecting rod shaft, another one is big end bearing housing. Means connecting rod shaft means that is a small end bearing. Another one we are going to change that compression ratio of the engine thickness of this plate. So means it is also actually we are going to considering this compression ratio in the cylinder volume and other things. Even though now we are going to modern engines, we are going to considering that the thickness of the plate also. And difficult this connecting rod is that screws due to high dynamic load, and this load will be that very high temperature and high pressure it is going to be acting. Even though that screws, nut and bolt arrangement should be in a proper pattern. So if it is not proper pattern, it will lead that dynamic bending stress that must be handled by that tightening the forces. Because of this tightening means tightening of the nut and bolts, it is extremely, it will be there in the high tension will be there. It is extremely in the high tension will be there, because we are tightening that connecting rod. Another we can see that some of the cranking of the connecting rod, whenever combustion is going on, so compression will be there. Due to that big end bearing and small end bearing is subjected to that so many forces. We can bending stress, bending force, we can say compressive force, tensile force, so many other forces the connecting rod should be bear. So this asynthetic and dynamic, we are divided into two categories of this asynthetic and dynamic forces, and it is leads to that wear and tear. So whenever tensile forces will be there, compressive forces will be there, it leads to that wear and tear. So therefore, big end bearing houses has to be checked a regular basis, and high forces will be there. High forces matting between the surface, between the lower end and upper end of the bearings. So this bearing housing needs highest grade of planetary. Highest grade of planetary means we are going to calculating highest grade of forces. So in order to avoid all these things, wear and tear and forces, some of the preventive maintenance we should take for connecting rods, or else the life will be the very less compared to that compared to that rods. Okay, so what are the preventive causes we have to take? First thing is that dimensions and conditions of the connecting rod. Dimensions and condition of the connecting. See, here also we have to consider whenever we are going to manufacture that connecting rod, we have to take care of that material. That is a very most important. So measuring, suppose examples you take, diameter, ovality, we should consider. Housing requires full tightened connecting rod, bolts and assembled, so many forces that we have to control it. Requires also make use of correct lubricant we have to use whenever it is running for bolts and nuts also. Okay, already we are going to drilling the holes on the connecting rod, even though that tightening nut and bolts also we have to use that this connecting rods. Okay, means lubrication. So another one is required to check the temperature of the housing. So whatever temperature will be raised, we have to check it. Another one more thing here, by seeing in that PPT, condition of the connecting rod bolts. So means the surface of the bolts and the threads shall be in a proper conditions and not be affected by a rough handling, small damages and the starting point of the fatigue cracks. So correct tightening of the connecting rod bolts, so that make sure we have to, these bolts are tightened complete accordance instructions of your manufacturers. According to manufacturers, we have to go for what are the terms and conditions we have to go whenever tightening of that bolts and nuts. If it is more tightening also, it will be damaged. If less will be there, that tensile force, it is also not properly, it will be damaged of the connecting rod as well as the crankshaft. So no, there is no use of to whenever we are fixing for these bolts and nuts, hammers should not be used. Okay, another one more thing we will see that fixing and replacement, that's a breaking phenomena. Connecting rod we are going to twist and then we are going to removing that bolt. Overload and manufacturing materials are not guaranteed. Means overload of the connecting rod is not good. So that entire load has to be pulled by the connecting rod. If the connecting rod is broken, bolt is broken, nut is slipped off, entire the system will be collapsed. Another silver lining of the corrosion. So we have to give that lining for corrosion. Whenever combustion process is going on, water also present in that combustion. So that for that purpose, corrosion may occur for that connecting rod. So we have to see also that one. Another these things are very important for lubricating of. If you are not lubricated properly for this nut and bolt, it will be go for corrosion. And as well as this drilling hole is not proper, that lubricant is not circulating inside of the shafts, bearings, so it is also damaged. So for this also we are going to care whenever we are going to designing a connecting rod. This connecting rod is that in between it is going to be connected to that crank pin or gudgeon pin, we can say that, and that is small end is connected and big end is going to be connected to that crankshaft, and that the connecting rod design will play vital role in that design of connecting rod. Thank you.